Hello, everybody. This is Beth Worsdell, author. This is the Witty Writers Show, and I'm here with the amazing Dana Lyons. How are you, darling?
I'm marvelous, and it's such a thrill to be here. Thank you for having me on the show.
Oh my gosh, Dana, I've been so excited this past week.
Me too.
I tell you, I really have, because you're all about the supernatural, which I love. I mean, oh my gosh, you just blow my mind, I have to tell you. For those who are joining us right now, Dana literally has got over, I've had to write all this down, Dana, because it does blow my mind. You've got 35 different works out, which anybody can view on Goodreads.
Right.
And that includes your Dreya series, plus anthologies and other supernatural works. Is absolutely amazing. And you're a USA Today best and international selling author too.
Wow. Who knew? Who knew I could do that?
It's truly amazing. And do you look back at what you've achieved now and think, wow, I did all that?
I do. I started out with 5 books on my backlist. And then when I started publishing my own, I got hooked up with all these incredible writers through my mentor, Margot Bon Collins. And I was introduced to a whole group of wonderful authors. And all of a sudden opportunities came to write this story and then that story. And granted, they're not all full length. But a story is a story. It has to have the same elements. It has to have the same creativity. It has to have the same flow and conflict and resolution. And so I found what that did was it helped me sharpen my writing skills. But I look back at it now and I go, oh my God, I wrote this story and I wrote that story and this story. And then there was that story. And
now, I've got to say, Dana, the paranormal I've always been fascinated with, and your books cover so many different topics and your stories. You know, we've got shapeshifters, we've got a bit time travel. You've got all these different paranormal elements, including romance. What actually sparked your initial interest in the paranormal and writing about it?
Well, usually I'll just get some idea in my head. And then, there's ideas that come and go, and then there's ideas that stay and they build. And the next thing you know, I hear their voices, and it's really, please don't everybody talk to me all at once. And I hear their voices, and then I start to see their faces. And there's usually a theme that I want to express for each story, which is usually about the power of love and science together, because I think they're opposite sides of the same coin. I'm very science-minded, so you'll find quantum something or other in a lot of my books. And so from there, it just builds, and next thing you know, I'm tapping away on the keyboard. And of course, I like this strange creature behind me is my plotting board. And I just went into this place, and I didn't have enough room for it, so it goes to the corner and then wraps around a little bit. But that's how I plot my stories. And then I start pulling down these little sticky notes, and that's a scene. And I write that scene, and the next thing you know, I've written a book, I've written a story, and then, oh my goodness, we've got to get it edited, and then we've got to go over it again, and then we got to get a cover. And so it is a totally consuming enterprise, but it's very satisfying.
Yeah. I agree with that, and you're much more organized than me, I have to tell you. I've tried the whole, planning and plotting and everything else, and all it did really was stop my flow. But it just goes to show how differently we all work, doesn't it?
Well, I plot to a certain point, and I may know what's going to happen in a scene, but I may not know exactly what's going to happen. So there's room there for my characters to reveal. And I am writing a political thriller right now, not necessarily a romance. And as I'm writing the scene, the character just does stuff, and I go, oh, I didn't know that you could do that. How can that be? Because I created this character, but there's always if you do enough of the good background work, what their hopes and fears and desires and what type personality they have and what their lesson is to be learned. And see, I organize all that because I have to know what the lesson is. I have to know what the problem is. I have to know what the stakes are, what's the conflict. All these are the elements that make a book readable, that make a book grab a hold of you, that pulls you into the book so that you know, I've had readers tell me that they'd be reading the book and then they're looking around to make sure what universe are they still in. And so there's all these elements that I have to have, but then, like I say, there is room for characters to reveal things to me that I had no clue. And it enriches the story. And inevitably, it always enriches the story in ways that I couldn't do just by myself.
I know exactly what you mean. And ladies and gentlemen, it's true what they say. We do have people talking on our heads. We do. We've got some people joined us. I'm just going to pop Josephine up. Hello, Josephine. She is in good old England, in Devon, where I was born. Lovely to see you, my darling. She is so awesome. Don't forget, if you've got questions for Dana, please pop them up and I will put them on the screen and we will get through them one by one. But it's amazing, isn't it, Dana? Sometimes your characters just take you to a completely different direction that you had no idea you was going to go into.
I know. And like I say, once you get that groundwork built, then that gives a foundation for the character to come through and speak in their voice, which is not necessarily your voice.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, I mean, as we said earlier, you're very strong on the paranormal, which is absolutely amazing, and with the shapeshifters and the reverse harem and everything else. What piqued your interest when you was young? Was you always interested in the paranormal and things that were otherworldly?
I don't think so in particular. I think it's something I gravitated to through reading. I was always an avid reader as a child. Everything I could get my hands on, I read, as with most authors. But I read romances back in the 70s and 80s with Rosemary Rogers and some others, Elizabeth Phillips, I'm going to forget her full name, and they were all about the romance, And then I didn't start writing until about almost 20 years ago. So I was in my 50s. And all of a sudden it was like, there was just more paranormal stuff happening. Seemed like there was before I started writing, there was Hail Bop in the skies. Do you remember that? Hail Bop, the comet, and a lot of other things that were of a metaphysical nature started to become popular. And I started, actually, my first story, if I can tell this, Heart of the Druid.
Oh, I'm sorry, Dana. Hang on. My doodles are going nuts. Girls, lay down. The joys of being live. I don't know what they're barking at, but they're warning somebody off. I'm sorry, you were saying, Dana.
So I had been reading. I started writing because I was living. My husband and I, ex-husband and I, were living in Denver, Colorado, and he was part of the Antarctic program. So he was completely gone to Antarctica for 6 months out of the year, and I didn't really have any friends, and I didn't know any people. I had 2 horses I had to take care of. We lived on the backside of nowhere, and so the isolation was crushing. So I needed an outlet. And so I joined the local Romance Writers of America chapter, and I had been reading Diana Gabaldon, the Outlander series, and I had read the first few books of that, and I just woke up and I got this idea for a story in my head, and I'm like, oh my goodness, what, they're talking to me. What do I do with this? So I said, I'm going to have to write a book, and so I started taking some classes with RWA and going to some programs and all that. And then one week I sat down, not knowing how to write a story, not doing any preliminary work at all. It was a download. And I just started on the keyboard. 7 days later, I had 75,000 words.
Wow.
And I thought, oh, wow, I wrote a book. How cool is this? And I gave it to one of my friends, and they said, well, this really stinks. And I went, oh, well, I guess I don't know how to write a book. So I started taking some more classes, and I did Empowering Characters' Emotions with Margie Lawson, who a lot of you writers might know. She's an incredible teacher. And I have a 4-inch binder of information from just one of her classes. And so I joined Rocky Mountain Fiction Writers, and I went to conferences, and I wrote, and I gave it to a friend to edit, and went back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And finally, I kind of had it in a polished condition, the story, and I was doing research for an article for RWA about the difficulties of meshing traditional publishing with independent publishing. And in the course of my research for the indie publishers, I found an indie publisher who was starting a new line about ancient timelines, and my story was inspired by Outlander, so it was a time travel story going back to Stonehenge. And so in 2008, 5 years after I started and wrote that first horrible version of this book, which isn't the one I'm getting ready to show you, this is another one, but I did finally get, if I can get it right there, Heart of the Dreya. This is my first paperback published by Black Lion Publishing. And I went on to publish 5 books with them.
It is absolutely beautiful. And a funny fact, the Stonehenge is actually quite a big part of my trilogy as well. So I'm just as fascinated with Stonehenge and, the mystical side of what it could be for, and what was the history. I think that's absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, my research on it was riveting. It was so interesting. It was. Yeah. And it was really a pleasure to write that book. And one of the things that was really awesome was that there used to be a TV show, something about Sunrise Earth, and they would take a camera and go to places where they would put just the camera and no dialogue, no people, and the audio. And one of the places they did was Stonehenge. So they did a sunrise at Stonehenge, a half hour of just as the sun came up. And so I was able to parlay that into the description of a scene at sunrise at Stonehenge. So it was a great book to write. It was a lot of fun, really was.
That's just amazing. And for those of you who are watching, Dana's actually going to be doing a giveaway later on, which is absolutely fantastic. So keep watching, because
free autographed copy of Transformation or an ebook if you want. So
exciting! It's so exciting. And Dana actually has quite a catalogue of audiobooks, which we will get to in a minute as well, which is absolutely amazing. We have got some more questions and comments. We've got Kristen. She's joined us. Hey, Kristen.
Hi, Kristen.
Thank you for joining in, my darling. And she says, hey, Beth, and hi, Dana. Thank you, darling. Thank you. Thank you. We've also got Theodore, who's joined us. He says, hi, Beth. Hi, Dana, with a love heart.
I'm so excited you're here.
So am I, because Theodore is actually one of our winners from our previous shows. So keep with us, Theodore, because we will announce that shortly. Dana has got a question for you. She says, how many books have you written, Dana? And Beth, Nick says he loves the ears. I'm glad Nick likes the ears. Look, I'm getting all festive for everybody, and love is in the air, Josephine. So how many books have you written, Dana?
I have 5 full-length novels, romance novels, and adventure novels from my backlist with Black Lion Publishing. And then when I started publishing my own, I have a 5-book series, which is the Dreya Love Transformation series. Those are not as long as the earlier books, but when you put them all together, it's a lot of words. There's a lot of words and a lot of stories. So that's 5 books there. And then I have been in so many anthologies. I couldn't count them all. Beth said she counted them up, and wow, there's a whole bunch. So some anthologies are no longer available. They were limited editions, and some are still available. So you have to go up on my Amazon page and see the whole strip.
It absolutely blows my mind. Now, for those of you who are watching, Dana has over 1,000 ratings and reviews on Goodreads, and even though that you do, I googled you, and I do quite. I'm like a PI when it comes to authors and books. I've got to tell you, Dana. So yeah, you've got literally, I think it was like I've actually got it written down here. So it's actually 1,109 ratings, including reviews.
I'm shocked.
I know, right? And your average is over 4 stars.
Good.
For that many reviews. So if that doesn't say how fantastic your books are, I don't know what does.
I have been told that some of the themes in my books keep readers up at night.
Really?
Especially the Dreya Love series, which is about humanity and being genetically modified, and who has the right to make certain decisions, and that kind of story. And then in Heart of the Dreya, that first book that I held up, my editor at the time, Carrie, she says, well, you nailed that scene. She says, I just burst into tears.
Wow.
So I reach deep. I go deep. I'm not a superficial writer. I create these incredible characters, and then I crack them open. So we can see what's in there. So we can see, how did they manage that god-awful situation? How did they get through that tragedy? How did they climb back up? And because that's what we read for. We want to see how other people did it, how characters did it.
And I think that's why your books are so popular, Dana, because, you know, giving people stuff that really triggers so many deep thoughts, they're going to want to talk about that. You know, when they see a character go through something that they can connect with on such a level, and it does make them think and touch their hearts and souls, they're going to want to talk about it with their friends and their family. You'll never guess what book I'm reading right now. You'll never believe what's just happened. And they'll want to talk about it, which intrigues other people, doesn't it? And I think any book that starts a conversation between people and readers is a fantastic book.
Well, I think readers often say, wow, I didn't see that coming. Like, I got to keep you on your toes so you don't get bored. So there's always a lot of twists and turns.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. We've just got Stephanie who's joined us. She says, hi, Beth and Dana.
Hi, Stephanie.
Hello, darling. We've got we're going to be announcing Stephanie's winner for her video shares as well, which would be fantastic. Kristen says, ooh, inspiring.
Yes.
There you go. You've already got her intrigued. Theodore's given us a smiley face because he's one of our winners. Woo woo. Kristen says these interviews are amazing. I love them. Oh, thank you so much, Kristen. One of the best things, Dana, about doing these live author interviews is not only the participation, because, you know, I love that the fact that we are live, we can answer questions from readers and our fellow authors. But I think all of us take away something from each other, don't we?
Yes. Yes. It's all about sharing. And you never know what you have to share that might be interesting or even life-changing.
Yeah.
Someone else.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with that. Now, you mentioned anthologies, and this is something that I've just started really getting into. I've just written my first ever short love story, which I was terrified about, Dana, because it was completely out of my comfort zone. But you obviously found the experience of doing anthologies really rewarding, and you obviously got so much out of it as a writer. Do you think, I mean, do you actively encourage other authors to do anthologies to gain those?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Nothing will sharpen your creative juices and your structure and your ability to go from beginning to the end. Nothing will heighten that more than writing a new story every 6 weeks. Because when you become an indie publisher, when you're doing, or not an indie publisher, but self-published, you have to keep producing. That's why I wrote so many stories and anthologies in the last 3 years, because you have to keep that out there. You know, you don't have the luxury of waiting 2 years to put out a new book every 2 years. If you're on the New York Times bestsellers list on that top block of 12, well, yes, you have that luxury. But for the rest of us, it's a little more intense writing to maintain that production. So you really sharpen your skills. You really are. And then, of course, you know, every time you send something to the editor and it comes back with all those red marks, and you go, okay, stop doing that. Stop doing that. Stop doing that. Stop doing that. And finally, you get it. And then so you stop doing that, and the next manuscript comes back with less red on it, and then the next one with less and less. And so it's like a rock climber pounding those anchors into the rock. I mean, after a while, it does get in there, and then you start writing cleaner. You start writing faster. You start writing sharper. And so it's production line production. And that will sharpen your skills. So I highly recommend, and it's not just that, you have the advantage of maybe getting into an anthology with more well-known authors. So you're getting yourself introduced to their reader base and this one's reader base. To that end, if I may bring up Wicked Souls, okay, the anthology that we made USA Today bestseller the first week of October of last year. And there were amazing, by the way. There were 35, 33, 36 authors. Okay, so we all participated. But what was really cool about Wicked Souls is that it was a completely reverse harem anthology. The first totally reverse harem anthology to make USA Today bestseller. So we broke ground. That is just amazing. Now, for people who don't know, just quickly explain what reverse harem is. Reverse harem is essentially 3 or more lovers and 1 woman. Okay. And so we break the mold. We break, how can I say this? I think the reason why reverse harem is the readership is insane. They want more. Women want to read reverse harem. And it's not because the sex is good and the guys are good looking and all of that. It's because that's a bonus. It brings back the female lead. You know, we've been I'm trying to think of a word, and of course my brain won't give it to me right now. Matriarchal society, that's what I'm trying to say. Where the women make the decisions, where the women relax while the men clean the kitchen, where the women are in charge. And so that goes against the patriarchal society that we are in right now. And I think that's why so many readers absolutely love reverse harem, because it puts the power back in the woman's hands. Yeah. And allows her to make the decisions. I don't want just 1 lover. I want 2. I want 3. I like you. Come on, let's have 4. Now that doesn't necessarily mean all at the same time, or maybe it does. Depends on the writer. Yeah, but it's that balance of 1 woman, and they're all forever love. Yeah, not a come in and, you know, wham bam, thank you ma'am, see you. So it also brings in like with the Dreya Love series, of the absolute dedication then that the men have towards their alpha, towards their woman. Yeah, yeah, very empowering. It really is. I'm feeling empowered already. I've got to tell you. We've got some more comments, Dana, so I'm going to pop these on. Hang on a minute. There we go. So Kristen says, I need all of Dana's books. Okay. I love that. Kristen. I need more Kristens.
You do. And Kristen loves to share as well. So it's fantastic. So Kristen, if you share Dana's interview today, you've got a very good chance of winning one, or possibly an audio book, which is fantastic. Leanna has joined us from Australia. She says, hi there. Sorry, I'm late. Bloody kids, who'd have them? LOL.
Welcome, Anna. Welcome.
I can't say anything, Leanna, because I've had 4 myself. So I can't speak of that. Terza's just joined us. She says hello.
Hey Terza.
Terza's going to be joining us soon for an author interview, so that's so exciting. Stephanie says, I love them too. It's wonderful. So yes, we love all the supernatural. You can't go wrong with supernatural. So many different themes. Terza says, just tuned in. She is so awesome. Stephanie says, meet the writers. So yes, that's another huge bonus, as you said, of doing anthologies and everything, is connecting with so many different authors, isn't there? And I think also what people don't realize is that when we do an anthology, if, for example, you've got 10 authors participating, you've then got those 10 authors all sharing the same work, all on their social media, their websites, their Goodreads, and obviously the person who's in charge of actually publishing the book, doing all promotion as well. Right. So it's a really good way of jointly promoting yourself and each other, isn't it?
The writing community is awesome. We come together and we support each other when we have an anthology. We come together and we support each other before the anthology is published, in that we like, oh, how do I do this? I don't know how to do this. Someone will step up and help you and show you how to do this. And what I love about the writing community is we tend to step in and bring up our competition.
Yeah.
Okay. So that does 2 things. It does a wonderful goodness for the people that we're bringing up, and it also inspires us to be better writers ourselves, because we know the next generation is coming up right behind us, and we have to stay on our toes. And
yeah.
And mentoring in the writing community is a wonderful thing. I'm mentoring a young man who's writing a book about how God affected his life. I wasn't expecting that topic from this young man, but we're bringing him along. And just as Margot Bond Collins mentored me, so for the most part, I think the writing community, at least the paranormal writers that I'm a part of, are wonderful, big-hearted, open-minded, helping people. So yeah. When you have a group like that to work with, you can't go wrong.
Yeah, and I think there needs to be definitely a lot more of that, I think, because, you know, there are too many people out there who automatically think of other people as being, you know, you're my competition, I can't help you, I can't support you. But in actual fact, the more, as you know, the more we help and support others, the more positivity comes back to us in so many different ways, and sometimes in ways that you don't even realize it, I think.
It's that returning energy, you know, what you put out, call it karma, what goes around comes around. So the more that you're out there opening yourself to help others, the more that energy comes back to you, and you can only benefit.
Yeah.
You can only benefit.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with you. I want to speak to you a bit more about that, but I'm just going to quickly put some comments on here. So Josephine says, it's nice to put a face and personality to the books we read. Absolutely. I think you're right there, Josephine. She said, totally, I think momentum is good with regards to publishing books. You don't want your readers to drift away. And that's very true, isn't it, Dana? You've got to stay relevant.
Yeah.
And in front of people.
Yes, you have to maintain that constant presence, which is a challenge, you know. Yeah. You also have to maintain enough time for yourself and quality for yourself to maintain yourself. So I'm part of a group that they have so many sets put together. I mean, 40, 50, 100, I don't know. And there's hundreds and hundreds of writers in the group, but there's all these different sets going for this, this, and this. And every time someone posts a new set, oh, I'm going to do a, you know, fill in the blank. And you go, oh God, I have so many, I'm committed to so many right now. I don't think I can squeeze. Well, maybe I can just squeeze one more. And you have to find balance between the sets that you want to join in and having enough time for yourself that you're not rushed and producing maybe a lesser quality than you could if you had less commitments. So it's a balancing act.
Yeah. I think that's pretty much life, really, isn't it?
Yeah.
I really do.
How much can I do before I break the back? You know, okay. Well,
Exactly. Well, Terza says, I once read a book where someone stood out to me a lot. A repetitive thing the author used that really bothered me, and I realized I was doing that too, so I stopped it.
bravo.
It's amazing, isn't it? You don't quite realize sometimes that the writing habits that you have until somebody points it out. And with my own writing, I'm very conscious of that now, especially because I'm still very British. There are words that I will still come out with, and I know that I shouldn't use it, because even though we Brits use it all the time, people here in America automatically think it's bad grammar when it's actually not. So I have a list of terms and words that I know are big no-nos. I'll do my piece of writing, and then I'll search for those words.
And there they are.
Yeah, always. And then I'll remove them. But I don't know about you. I always find it more efficient to remove them after I've finished my first draft. Otherwise, it will just ruin my flow.
Sure. Yeah, that's what I do at the end whenever I'll get to the end, I'll do the end, and then I'll let it rest for a week so I can clear it out of my head. And then I'll do another pass that's where I start pulling out those words. You know, I have a list, just, almost, and you know, we know the list. And then the last thing I do before it goes to the editor is I read it aloud. I don't know how many people do that, but I learned, you have to read it aloud. And I don't mean we're just reading it right now, like a little whisper like that. No, you need to read it as though you are reading it to someone. And that is that's as good as one pass for the editor as far as I'm concerned, because you'll hear, you'll notice those places where, oh, I just said that, or how many times did I say that? So you catch those little bumps. So reading it aloud is so important. It goes to my editor, and then it comes back, and I'll do another quick read through, and I'll correct all the red messes. And then the last thing I do is read it aloud one more time before I put the cover on it and publish it. So reading it aloud is important.
I think that's really important. And I think a lot of authors underestimate the power of reading your own work. As you said, like you're telling somebody else's story. When I'm reading my own, if I have to reread a sentence, I know I have to change it.
Exactly.
If I can't read it in one go and it flows straight away, I know I have to redo that sentence because it's obviously wrong. I don't know about you, but I Grammarly is an absolute godsend.
I've never used Grammarly.
Oh my gosh, I absolutely love it, and I love it to the point where I've actually paid for the yearly subscription, because it does pick up on things that you do without realizing. For example, using the same word too many times in a paragraph, writing too passively or too aggressively, and it's quite a really nifty tool, I've got to tell you. But also, I don't know about you, Dana, but when I'm doing my social media, I tend to type things really super quickly and then just post. I am terrible for doing that. And then I realize on the third share that I've done something grammatically wrong. And I think, oh, God, I have to go back now and correct them all.
I know. I did that once where I had posted a bunch of graphs that I made. It was for one of the anthologies. And then so I got them all up like on about 15 sites. And then someone messaged me and said, "Are you doing blah, blah, blah?" And I went, "Yeah." And she says, "You got a misspell in there." And I went,
oh, there's nothing worse, is there? There's nothing worse than having to go back and re-edit all of them.
I know everyone understands. I know everyone is aware of autocorrect. And yet I see it all the time. I see others do it, but yet I don't want to be one of the people that does it. So I'll back up and I'll go through every one of them and I'll change it if I have the opportunity.
I do that. I'm a Virgo, so everything's got to be spot on.
We're supposed to have it right with the words. If you're a wordsmith, you've got to have your words right. So I'm probably a little OCD about that. So yeah, but we all do it. And readers, I have friends that say, you know, every book I read has typos in it. It doesn't bother me. And I go, well, I wish I could say that, because it bothers me like crazy.
I want to slap myself. If somebody sends me a message very kindly, because I do appreciate it, but if I miss something and the editor misses something, because we've gone over the work so many times, and somebody shoots me a message and says, by the way, this is wrong, I'm so grateful. I'm like, thank you so much. I will change it right now. Yes. However, Grammarly, as I said, I would highly recommend it to everybody because it does help prevent all that. I've actually got it attached. It's actually part of my keyboard on my phone, my iPad, my laptop, everywhere. I have it attached. So it will pick up on things like that. So I'm a bit more efficient. Thank goodness. Oh my gosh, the things we do.
It's a lot of coordinating for me, the social media and everything that is involved. You know, I told a friend of mine that, well, marketing requires 1 million integrated moving pieces. And if you only have 596, well, you got a good start, but you know, and so that's where I am not that efficient, is with coordinating all the social media and all of that. So I greatly admire your abilities, your technical abilities, and your coordination and all of that. Bravo.
I'm all about shortcuts, Dana.
Yeah,
I am. I've still got 2 kids at home, which, you know, they're pretty much adults. I mean, one's in their 20s and another one's in late teens. However, when you've still got kids at home and you're trying to get everything else done, it really is a struggle with time management. And I'm sure you feel the same way. Trying to fit everything in is a constant daily struggle.
Writing is such a consuming thing. It will consume your life, your mind, your days, your hours, your time, your nights, your thoughts, your dreams.
Yeah.
And then when you're in the grocery store in line, you'll go, oh God, I need a piece of paper. I just thought of something. I'm the Post-it note queen. Look what I have attached to my, I don't know if I can get this off of here, but my, you know, this is what I have attached to my computer, you know, my laptop. I have this kind of stuff. And then you see the ones up here on the board behind me. So I'm the Post-it note queen for those quick thoughts that may not survive getting home.
See, I'm the other way. I've had to sort of embrace, because I try and be as organized as I possibly can, but I've got to tell you, Dana, I have got the memory of a sieve. My husband calls me Dory from Nemo because I'm so bad. I literally can walk from the kitchen to the laundry room and think, why am I in here?
Yeah, what did I come in here for? And then I'll look back to where I came from, hoping that I left a breadcrumb trail to help me. What was I doing before I showed up here?
I know, right? I'm terrible. So my phone and my iPad are invaluable. I literally have, and I'm going to tell all of our viewers here as well, because it saves so much time and energy. I tend to copy and paste a lot. I have an app where I can literally do for example, a list of hashtags for a post. So relevant hashtags for me. So like Beth Worsdell, hashtag the Witty Writers Show, hashtag for my books, sci-fi, fantasy fiction, and so on and so on. I pre-do it. And then every time I'm doing a new post, I literally just copy and paste the relevant hashtags and pop them on.
I admire you. I'm not that technically organized.
Oh my gosh, it's a lifesaver, honestly. It really is. But even without the apps, just having it on a Word document, you know, relevant hashtags for one book or for you as an author. And
I have that. I have, you know, a sheet that I refer back to that has everything on it. But all that copy and paste on the telephone, I can't do that.
I use voice app a lot, as you know, because it auto corrects me quite often.
Yes. The curse of the autocorrect.
I know, right? I've made some really bad messages and sent them before I've realised, Dana. I've got to tell you, there's been some apologising going on in the past.
Yeah, exactly. You know, that's not what I meant. So,
Yeah, exactly. Sorry about that. I'm going to quickly go through some more comments, my darling. We have got, oh my gosh, we've got quite a few. There we go. So Teresa says, I love reversed harem. There we go. I think you might have a new reader there. I think you might have some new fans. Oh my gosh, it's just skipped ahead on me. Why did it do that? Let me go back. Oh my gosh, I'm going to try and get through as many of these as I can. Teresa says, my favorite, especially contemporary. So she likes contemporary romance, which is awesome. There we go. You could win that, Teresa. You just have to share Dana's interview after we've finished. Josephine says, giving us a strong female and the power to the female lead. Absolutely.
I'm a second-degree black belt in karate. So all of my female characters are martial artists. They're strong, powerful, but that doesn't mean they don't make mistakes. They still make mistakes, but they own their own authority.
Yeah. I think that's amazing. And let's face it, women are in general are getting more and more badass with every year. I think it's fantastic. You know, we've just had another glass ceiling break, so it's all good. Teresa says, one man isn't enough to satisfy you, LOL.
Exactly. Because each man brings something different to the relationship. I mean, and I think that's one thing that women recognize is, you know, that one guy I married really isn't quite the package that satisfies me. And we're not talking necessarily physically, but, you know, in my reverse harems, one guy brings one thing, you know, a sense of humor. Another one is protective. This one is always taking care of, you know, is the mother bear, even though, you know, she's the alpha. So each guy brings his own qualities to the relationship.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's why women like it so much.
Yeah. I believe you're absolutely right there. And Teresa's agreeing with you. She says true loyalty and love as being part of it. I think that's absolutely spot on. She says, my motto is the world is good enough for everyone to shine.
Yes, it is. Yes,
I love that. I absolutely love that. Autumn has joined us and she says mentoring other writers, especially new writers, is so important. And she's spot on there. Now, Autumn does a YouTube channel where she gives tips and advice to new and older writers who need help with technology and writing skills, and it's absolutely fantastic. And everybody check it out because she's actually doing a fantastic giveaway at the moment for Valentine's Day and in celebration of her upcoming book, and she's giving away a beautiful goddess necklace.
Ooh.
I know, right? It is absolutely beautiful. It really is. Teresa says, I love to share fellow authors and artists' work. And she really does. She's like yourself, Dana. She's always so quick to help promote another author that's doing something new or releasing something. And it makes a massive difference, doesn't it? Because I've watched Teresa's following just go up and up and up because she's got that relationship with other people.
Yes.
You know, as you said earlier, it's about putting out positivity and it coming back to you in the universe. Now, I know you're very much like me, aren't you? It's a case of putting out there our dreams and goals, being sure in ourselves that we can actually reach those goals and putting out that positive vibe to make it happen.
Yes.
When did your spirituality and positive attitude really come out for you?
About 3.5 years ago, I had a major life change. My husband left me, so I realized within a moment, I lost my name, my income, my home, my family, my cats. I lost everything. And so that's why my logo is Phoenix Rising, because I knew that I was going to have to remake myself. I couldn't go back to what I was. So all of a sudden I had to charge forward through all the doors. There were no ceilings and there were no doors that I couldn't breach. And, at my age, I was 65 at the time, and everyone said, oh, well, just go be a greeter at Walmart. And I went, no, I will. That is not me. I said, I'm a writer. And so I set out to make myself the best writer I could be. And I got a mentor. And in the course of going from being homeless to having finally my own home, it took 4 years. I had to learn a lot. I had to learn a lot about myself. There were many times where, in relationship to my writing, I collapsed in the corner sobbing and going, I don't know if I can do this. But I said, you can do this or you can quit. And quitters never do. So they never achieve. So I kept on and I pushed myself and I started to become more self-aware. I knew I had to change. When you're rebuilding your entire self, you have to learn new information. So I started on a path learning about energy. Energy is everything and everything is energy. So I took a course and I learned how to clean my chakras and set my aura and change the pictures on my aura that are determine how people perceive you and you perceive yourself. So I made great advances spiritually with each step. And I finally got to the point where I did realize that when you are trying to figure things out, and you got that negative loop going, and you don't have something worse, and I gotta figure this out. And I learned in my spirit part of this program is you get to talk to your spirit guides on a daily basis, and they would tell me, stop that, you're making turbulence. And so what I learned about the path to manifesting is that to keep your energy non-turbulent. So whenever I'm doing something that I'm trying to figure out and it makes turbulence, and the energy of the universe wants flow. They don't want agitation. So don't agitate the energy. And energy, when scientists write on a laboratory board, a big formula, when they want to do energy in motion, they do E-motion. So your emotions are tremendous energy, and you can use that energy to your benefit, or you can let it capsize you.
Yeah.
So once you learn how to manage your energy, then you get into the flow of complete surrender. The very famous and wonderful Sri Kumar Rao says, learn this. You are never in control. You never have been in control. You never will be in control. So then why am I trying to control everything? So I learned to quit that. So it's called surrender, and you just always deal from a place of happiness. Never get that negative loop going. Stop trying to steer the vehicle, and the universe will send the flow, which I am experiencing right now, the manifesting of your dreams.
Yeah.
And so I'm much more at peace since I learned about energy in my mind, in my body, in my perspective of the whole universe and everything. And people say, Dana, how are you today? And I go, I am experiencing the bliss and the perfection of utter surrender. So one thing that came to me in my dream last night was, no one is to blame for anything. Everything is God's plan. So there you can quit blaming people for, oh, well, they did that and this one did this and this. Stop that. So anytime I start to make a little turbulence, my spirit guides will go, you're making turbulence. And I go, no, not me, boss, not me. No, I'm smooth, I'm cool, and everything is love. So when you can get to that place, it's to your best benefit. So that's where my spiritual path has come from. Being nothing and having nothing and feeling like I was nothing to being in the absolute perfection and bliss of flow of the universe.
Yeah. Sorry. Really loud. me see if I can turn that down. I don't know why I'm so loud all of a sudden. Oh, and my light's gone. Hang on, bear with me 1 second. The joys of being live. Hang on a second. Oh, there we go. There we go. I think when we go through anything that is really, really life-changing, I think we always go through a grief process, don't we? Because we grieve what's happened.
5 steps of grief.
Exactly what we've been through, but then I think you go through acceptance and embrace the new you or your new situation. But I love the saying, you can't control what other people do, but you can only control how you react to what other people do. And I think that is key, isn't it? I think it's knowing what's right for you, your sanity, your happiness, and chasing your dreams and goals, knowing that if you work hard enough, you can actually achieve it. And I think that is the key, especially for authors, because there's so much competition out there on Amazon and all the other social media platforms and everything else. Having the faith that if you work hard, you will succeed makes a massive difference.
And I think it involves having faith in the divine spirit that is actually the person or the entity or the energy or the essence that is moving all the pieces behind the scenes on that chessboard. You know, you can do so much that you can see and you can hear and you know about. But then what about what's going on in the universe that you can't hear, that you aren't seeing, that you don't know about? Well, probably 99.999% of everything that's going on, I'm not aware of. So why do I think that I have to do this, this, and this to control it, to make it happen? There are other forces at work. Yeah. And when you have faith in yourself, and then you also have faith in the divine spirit, knowing that that's where your strength comes from, then yes, you are unstoppable.
It's amazing. Honestly, I've got so much admiration for you, Dana, and the journey you've been on. You are truly inspirational. I'm going to get some more comments on here as well. Oh, there we go. I think I've done that. Oh, Terza says, I love to share fellow authors and authors' work. I know you do, darling. You are amazing. She says, I don't believe in competition. You are unique and the people will love your writing, will gravitate towards you. I think she's spot on there. Wouldn't you agree, Dana?
Absolutely.
Absolutely. She said, Stephanie says, we really do learn so much from each other. We certainly do. I've learned so much since I started writing. It's crazy. I could probably write a book about it. Maybe I will. Terza says, yes, I do the edits in the rewrite too. So she's the same as us. If you do it in the middle, you stop yourself out cold. Absolutely. It just stops me immediately. Terza says, totally read it out loud. I love reading out loud anyway. Ha ha. I think it's actually good practice. Wouldn't you agree, Dana? Because if you can read your story out loud, then it gives you more confidence as an author doing live readings. And
when you get to those sex scenes, maybe you won't out loud as loud. I was reading out loud a sex scene, and at one of the places where I was living recently, and my roommate came and knocked on the door and says, hello, we can hear you out here. And I'm like, oh, whoops, I'm sorry. She says, no, it sounds pretty good. Keep it up.
It obviously sounded authentic, Dana, and I think that was a thumbs up.
It can be a bit awkward reading sex scenes, but, you know, it's part of the job.
See, I must admit, I'm quite lucky because I actually published my trilogy in adult and young adult editions. So my adult is with naughty bits and language, and my young adult is completely clean. So if I'm doing a live read and I think there might be some teens around, I'll just go for the safe version.
Exactly.
Oh my gosh, that was definitely one of the benefits. Absolutely. Terza says Grammarly is great. She uses the free one. I forgot to say, one of the benefits of having the yearly subscription is that you get weekly updates of how your writing is. Whether you've been, more passive, more friendly, more aggressive, and you get literally an email all about your writing, and it's actually it gives you quite a bit of positive oomph, to be honest with you. Not that I'm competitive with myself or other writers, but it does make me feel a bit good when it says, you were a bit more efficient than so many other writers, and you think, oh, I'm not doing too bad then.
Yeah, that's nice reinforcement to have.
Exactly. Stephanie says, I agree. Reading aloud is much different than reading in your own head. It's funny you brought that up, actually, Dana, because that's what I was doing last night, was reading aloud to myself. Autumn says, coordinating social media is another job. Autumn and I have actually had many discussions over social media and the best ways to navigate it, because it's always a challenge, isn't it? And I know we were discussing this earlier. You get used to something being one way, and then they'll do updates, change the algorithm, and you have to learn it all over again.
This is how I describe writing to newbies that are coming along. I'll put a grain of salt right here, and then on top of that, a tennis ball. And I said, okay, so that's your learning curve for writing. Then I put a basketball on top of the tennis ball, and I go, that's your marketing curve. So good luck.
You can't win. Dana, our time is running out, but before we go, I'm giggling so much. Look, my eyes are watering. I just want to quickly announce our previous winners. So our winner who shared Autumn Bardot's last interview is Stephanie Wrightson. So congratulations, Josephine, I meant to say. I'm getting myself all flustered here. So Josephine wins a signed book or ebook or audio from Autumn. So she will be contacting you, Josephine. For Stephanie's video that was shared, Theodore Lacrosse is our winner. And he wins, bless him, he wins one of these beautiful necklaces that has been handmade by Laura Ripel, LTF's Haven Facebook page. There we go. And they're handmade. So congratulations to you guys. Well done for that. Now, we're doing a giveaway for you as well, Dana, aren't we? Today, you are giving away a signed paperback. There we go. Or ebook, whatever the winner decides.
I have a boatload of audio codes from 3 or 4 of my backlist books. So I'm very free and generous with the audio codes. We won't limit ourselves to, I'm going to give them away.
Fantastic. Well, there we go. So the more you share, everybody, the more chances you've got of winning either a paperback, ebook, or an audio book. So whichever you would prefer. Obviously, we're all different. Me personally, I love my paperbacks, and I love the smell of a new book. I know I'm weird.
I do want to plug my series, Dreya Love series, Reverse Harem, Shapeshifter, Genetic Modification, Off Planet. Lots of big stuff in the series, so it's my latest baby.
And there are so many amazing reviews, so please check them out. Obviously, we've got all Dana's links available for you attached to the video. I know we've got lots more questions, Dana, but we can't get to them because we've run out of time. But would you mind replying to everybody who we haven't been able to get to yet?
Oh, certainly.
Dana, you have been an absolute pleasure. Thank you so much for joining us today.
My thrill and my pleasure to be with you. Thank you.
Oh, you are absolutely wonderful. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. Join us for our next Witty Writers Show, which will be with Jenny Hickman. Ooh. And get sharing Dana's video, because I'll be announcing it on our next show. Thank you ever so much, everybody. And happy Valentine's Day. Bye, Dana.
Bye.